is it avoids the motion to dismiss that Diddy filed in the case. And Sean Combs' team filed this motion to dismiss. It's pretty lengthy motion to dismiss, has a lot of facts in it, has a lot of details in it. I think number one is it buys them time to research that motion to dismiss and see if they can address the issues in the motion to dismiss. They know they're going to have to do that anyways. Generally speaking, you can get some time to respond to motions to dismiss, but they may want more time than what the court would allow to really kind of nail down some issues, go through some witnesses, see if they can get some affidavits from these new witnesses, so to beef up their complaint instead of going forward with motion to dismiss, getting that complaint dismissed and then refiling a new complaint. This way it would be very clean to refile in New Jersey. I think that's number one.
Right.
And number two is, I think the facts that now they're saying it happened in New Jersey, I think they understood that they would be subject to a motion to dismiss if they brought those claims in New York City, in the lawsuit in New York City, saying that the rape actually occurred in New Jersey. They would be subject to a new motion to dismiss, saying that venue and jurisdiction is proper in New Jersey, not in New York.
Well,
So, you know that whole thing about Diddy throwing a party? It was just a bunch of people hanging out, nothing too crazy. But then there was this vibe, like everyone was talking about how there were a lot of gay folks there, and then you had these dudes sticking together like glue, you know?
Is it common for civil lawsuits to spark interest of Homeland Security and launch an investigation?
Well, it's not uncommon for allegations in civil lawsuits to be considered by federal investigators and federal prosecutors and reviewed to determine whether or not a federal crime may have been committed. And that seems to be what happened here. I thought it was interesting that the attorney's statement really basically confirmed for the public that some of the investigative interest was likely generated from these lawsuits, which is interesting because several of the lawsuits allege activity that likely would fall within the parameters of sex trafficking. Several of these women claim to have been transported from one state to another and then drugged and assaulted, or his former girlfriend who claims to have been forced to perform sex acts with different people in different states as they traveled around the country. So I think it was an unfortunate almost admission by the lawyer. Not that it has legal significance, but it certainly puts us in a position to speculate more accurately about what's actually driving this.
It sounds wild, but the FBI is putting everything on the table after the raid. They are exposing Diddy for his dirty crimes. And let me tell you, this isn't something to be taken lightly.
legal development in one of the cases involving Sean Diddy Combs I want to talk to you about right now. Now, I say one of the cases because we know that the music mogul has been hit with a number of sexual misconduct lawsuits, and we know that the feds raided 2 of his properties back in March, reportedly pursuant to an ongoing sex trafficking investigation. No arrests have been made, no charges have been filed. We don't know precisely what authorities are looking for, but here's what we do know. That there is an interesting development in one of the lawsuits, and this one concerns a woman named Lisa Gardner, and she had sued Diddy and also singer and songwriter Aaron Hall, as well as several other corporate entities and Jane Does like MCA, UMG, Geffen Records. And she claims that back in 1990, when she was just 16 years old, she and a friend met Combs and Hall at MCA Records when they were invited back to Hall's apartment for an after party. And while at Hall's apartment, Lisa Gardner was allegedly offered drinks and was coerced into having sex with Sean Combs. She said that she was shocked, that she was traumatized, and then all of a sudden, after that happened, she claims Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and forced her to have sex with him. She claimed that her friend was also sexually assaulted by Combs and Hall, that they were almost essentially switching off on the women. And Gardner, allegedly a couple of days later, claims that Combs came to the home where
Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe shared his 2 cents on this Diddy situation. When asked how common it is for civil lawsuits to kick off a Homeland Security investigation, McCabe said it's common for federal investigators to look into allegations from civil suits to see if any federal crimes went down. And that's what's happening here. What caught McCabe's eye was how the attorney's statement spilled the beans a bit, hinting that these lawsuits might have stirred the pot for the investigation. Some of these lawsuits are heavy, alleging stuff like sex trafficking, with women claiming they were moved around states, drugged, and assaulted. McCabe sees this as a bit of a slip-up from the lawyer, giving us a peek behind the curtain of what's driving this probe.
On homes owned by rapper P. Diddy. Law enforcement sources telling ABC News the searches were part of a federal sex trafficking investigation. Federal agents searching the hip-hop mogul's homes in both Los Angeles and Miami. Attorneys for Diddy called the search warrants, quote, an unprecedented ambush and a witch hunt. ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky joins me now. Aaron, let's take a step back. Give us a little bit of the backstory about how we got here, what led up to this raid. What more are we learning about what federal agents were looking for and potentially what they found in these homes?
This investigation began with civil lawsuits filed by a number of accusers against Sean Diddy Combs, and some of the allegations do go back quite a number of years. He settled one lawsuit, others are still pending, and he has denied everything in them. But federal prosecutors, as they often do, took a look at those lawsuits. They were able to speak, we're told, to at least some, if not all, of Diddy's accusers, and then they sent federal agents with Homeland Security investigations to go to his houses and to try and get corroborating evidence, because that's ultimately what they would need to bring a case.
Yeah, and you heard the rapper's attorneys using some pretty strong words, calling it a witch hunt. And you see the pictures. In a federal raid like that, a lot of that is standard operating procedure, but when you see the heavy guns and people's hands over their heads being cuffed, what more are his attorneys, what more is his camp saying about this?
Well, they're complaining about the tactics. They said it was militaristic, and they said it was needless. They said that Diddy was cooperative, spoke to federal agents. We're told that they were able to seize electronics, as you'd expect, devices in the homes, because they're looking for videos, photos, any mementos that he may have been keeping that would corroborate what accusers have said. You know, if they said, well, I took a picture with him here at this place and he flew me on this jet here, they need evidence to corroborate that, and that's undoubtedly what they were looking for, and most of it's probably electronic.
They got to have probable cause in order to do something like they did that day.
It's a good point, and that tells you, I think, that they're confident in their case and that they were able to convince a judge that there was evidence in that home of potential crimes.
All right, Aaron Katersky, thanks so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Moreover, the reporters wanted to know why the search warrants were busted out simultaneously with all that force. McCabe figures it's because some of the victims said there might be tapes of the whole ordeal, so they're hunting for evidence like that. Hit them all at once. There is less chance for anyone to clean up or hide stuff. McCabe reckons that if there's any hint of violence in the mix, even if it's just past incidents, law enforcement is going to play it safe with the heavy gear and tactics. The bottom line is that what went down might seem over the top, but in law enforcement, it is better to be safe than sorry.
Or, unwise wording by the attorney. I mean, they had a day to come up with a statement. It's interesting that that's then what they came up with. I mean, what are some of the reasons why law enforcement officials would choose to execute two search warrants simultaneously and with that level of force? Because that's the other criticism or one of the other criticisms by the attorney, that it was an over, the use of sort of armored vehicles and folks in Kevlar.
Yeah, so why the search warrants simultaneously? Well, again, at the attorney's direction, we can now look to the civil suits for clues. And one of them, for me, is that several of these victims alleged that Mr. Combs and his associates videotaped these sexual encounters. So that is exactly the kind of evidence that you would want to go to someone's home to see if you could find. So I would expect that that was probably included in the search warrants, both at the same time, because once you hit one house, the subject knows that you're probably going to hit the other houses looking for the same stuff. So you're better off doing them if you have probable cause in two locations, you're better off doing them at once. And finally, the roundhouse swing he took at the show of force, really kind of classic defense attorney tactics to try to turn around a bad press day. But in fact, Mr. Combs has a long history of being investigated for things like assaults, harassment, threatening people with baseball bats and kettlebells and things like that. And the way it works in law enforcement is when you are planning a search warrant, if you have any information, and it doesn't have to be a criminal conviction, just intelligence that indicates that someone who's going to be at that residence may have a violent history or have armed themselves against people in the past, you're going to automatically qualify that search warrant or classify it as armed and dangerous. And that classification alone brings an additional level of protection, of tactical preparedness to ensure that there's no problems, that everything is done in as safe a way as possible. So I think what we saw yesterday was understandable in the context of an armed and dangerous warrant.
All right, Andrew McCabe, thanks very much.
Moreover, Nick Cannon's recent comments reflect a complex blend of personal connection, empathy, and the weight of public scrutiny. When asked about Diddy's role in the culture, Nick responded candidly, acknowledging the difficulty in addressing the allegations against someone he knows intimately. The discussion stems from Diddy's involvement in a storm of controversy, particularly regarding sexual assault allegations from his ex-partner Cassie.
Diddy has done for the culture. They asked me about Puff, and I answered it as honestly as I knew how to answer it. I know these people, they're not just public figures to me.
Nick Cannon's comments about Diddy resurfacing in the wake of the music mogul's federal home raids.
What about Puff? Like, I don't know how to feel about that.
Everybody has things that we have to deal with, and through love and understanding, we'll get through it.
The Masked Singer host getting through it on his Council Culture podcast in February, addressing what he said earlier in December on Way Up with Angela Yee.
Cassie, straight up.
In the aftermath of Diddy's sexual assault allegations from his ex, Cassie. Diddy denies the claims, but still, they ultimately settled. It's worth noting both appearances were recorded before Diddy's home raids.
I saw you leave like a, nice comment for Cassie.
Yeah.
With everything that's been happening with Diddy.
And there's a lot of things that we probably don't know the details on, but we all on the outside looking in. I'm praying for Cassie, trying to find the high frequency in knowing the story, knowing the right thing to talk about. I was like, this is someone who was hurt, who was victimized.
Nick making the comment while reflecting on his personal struggles in the public eye, including losing jobs over what many believe to be anti-Semitic remarks, for which he's since apologized.
When I was going through my stuff, someone that called, checked on me, stood by me, stood up for me, when no one else would protect me. We just like the audience, we sitting back, praying and hoping for the best, but then at the same time, when you know individuals, it's like a family member. I don't agree with the behavior, but I care for the person. So I have to almost do this dance about when it comes up, because just as much as I know Diddy, I know Cassie.
In November, Cassie's lawsuit allegations were...
Nick's words reveal a nuanced perspective on navigating relationships in the public eye. He speaks of the internal struggle of separating personal connections from public scrutiny, acknowledging the humanity of both Diddy and Cassie while grappling with the allegations. Despite the personal connection, Nick emphasizes the importance of recognizing the truth, whatever it may be, and awaiting its revelation.
As we watch it, we're watching it in real time, and we don't know how to feel because, one, we don't know the truth. We don't know everything. When it's revealed, it'll be revealed. And then when we are presented whatever the actual truth is, it's like, all right, well, how do we feel about what we've signed on for to be a part of that person's movement?
Of course, Nick's interview last year was before Diddy's 2024 headlines. Homeland Security raiding his LA and Miami mansions amid sex trafficking allegations. For now, Nick's only response has been sharing this unaired snippet from a February podcast episode. Nick asking fans in the caption what he's really yet to answer himself. What do you think about Diddy?
I find difficulty in it when I'm asked about people that I know about. But that goes back to what this is all about, healing in the public eye. As our brotherhood, it shouldn't be in the public.
Drawing from his experiences facing public backlash, Nick shares insights into the complexities of being in the spotlight. His reflections highlight the delicate balance between loyalty to friends and the need to confront uncomfortable truths. Moreover, Nick underscores the broader theme of healing in the public eye, emphasizing the challenges of navigating personal relationships amidst public scrutiny.
Saying like, I think the term was like, yo, I got my own fucking problems. I shouldn't have been telling him shit. Like, that's what I was saying in the moment.
That was right after the Ariana Grande.
Yeah, I still think that, hey, salute, Pete, that was that shit. You know what it is, too? Because I don't take shit seriously, especially that type of shit. We sitting here talking about pedophilia and true, you know, racism. And so then when the next subject is Pete Davidson, Ariana Grande, I don't give a fuck.
Right, because she was of age.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in the ideas of when we're we could talk about some real shit where this is, you know, life-altering situation. Then we're talking about two rich kids dating. Like, who gives a fuck? like it doesn't, and that's kind of how I approached it, but not really taking like, you know, that's important to Pete, that's important to Ariana. Like that's their lives in that moment. But to me, it's like, it's silly and it's funny, and I'm a joke about, like, if I'm gonna joke about racism and all of this shit, then I'm gonna definitely joke about some shit that I really think is insignificant. So at the time, it was like, sometimes, you know, I'll be out there talking too much shit and I forget that these people really care about that stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's always been the thing of older men and younger women. That's been in society, I think, since the dawn of time.
Well, in my case, you know, younger men and older women.
Right. You went the other way. You went the cougar route.
Facts. All facts.
In sharing his thoughts, Nick invites introspection on Diddy's situation and the broader dynamics of fame, friendship, and accountability. As the saga unfolds, Nick's words serve as a reminder of the complexities inherent in addressing allegations within the public sphere and the importance of empathy and understanding in navigating such turbulent times. Days after resolving his lawsuit with Cassie, Diddy was sued in Manhattan Supreme Court for sexual assault.
Joy Dickerson Neal is bringing forward an allegation against Puffy from 1991, but he and the lawyers are saying that the claims were not under the law when he alleged the incident occurred. But he ain't denying that it didn't occur. Boy, bye, they gonna keep on coming.
Third lawsuit over alleged sexual assault. According to court documents obtained by RadarOnline.com, a woman using the pseudonym Jane Doe filed bombshell claims against the music mogul in a New York court. In her lawsuit, Doe said she met Diddy with a friend at an event. She said Diddy and Hall started talking to them and buying drinks. Doe said Diddy and Hall took her to Hall's apartment. She said they offered her alcohol and then both sexually assaulted her. The woman said Diddy and Hall took turns raping her. Doe said she has suffered severe emotional distress over the incident that happened in 1990 or 1991. Doe said her friend was also raped by the two men. Doe said Diddy came to her home a few days after the alleged assault. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Jane Doe to the point that she passed out. Combs was searching for Jane Doe's friend because he was worried that she would tell the girl he was with at the time what he and Hall had done to them, the lawsuit read. Doe said she went to see a doctor after the incident. In addition, she said she told her friends and family about the alleged assault. The lawsuit comes days after Diddy settled a shocking lawsuit with his ex-girlfriend Cassie. Cassie accused him of years of abuse and even forced her to have sex with male prostitutes while he watched. As we previously reported, following Cassie's settlement, a woman named Joy Dickerson Neal filed a sexual assault lawsuit against Diddy. Dickerson Neal claimed Diddy in 1991 while a college student. She said she went on a date with him. She said she later felt out of it and believed Diddy drugged her. She claimed he sexually assaulted her and then secretly recorded it to show to others. This last-minute lawsuit is an example of how a well-intentioned law can be turned on its head. Ms. Dickerson's 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her and she implicates companies that did not exist. This is purely a money grab and nothing more, Diddy's lawyer said after the suit was filed. As RadarOnline.com previously reported, a former president of Diddy's Bad Boy Entertainment was also hit with a sexual assault lawsuit.
According to court records acquired, a woman named Joy Dickerson Neal accused Diddy of drugging and raping her while attending Syracuse University in 1991. Dickerson Neal's attorneys claim she was the victim of revenge porn after the music mogul reportedly taped the encounter and shared it with others in the music industry. Diddy rejected the charges at the time of the filing, which came just before the New York State Adult Survivors Act window was closing, alleging Dickerson Neal made up the account. This last-minute lawsuit demonstrates how a well-intentioned law may be twisted, Miss Dickerson's 32-year-old story is fabricated and untrustworthy. Mr. Combs never assaulted her, and she accuses corporations that never existed. This is nothing but a money grab, a rapper spokesman said.
That are very serious, such as these allegations. You nail down facts. I mean, I go through the facts probably 2, 3, 4 times before I file a complaint because I know those facts are going to be examined in great detail because of what they are based on. You know, you're not saying, hey, this was a breach of contract. You're accusing someone of sexual misconduct or rape. These are very serious allegations that, generally speaking, and I don't think personally, I never had a case where I made these type of allegations and then I'm like, whoops, sorry, I filed in Florida, meant to file in Alabama. Never happened to me because, like I said, I go through those facts in such detail that would be impossible. Now, when we're talking about this case, it's strange because what's happening with Sean Combs, and I said this originally, right? So back when all of this was happening with Cassie and the allegations were coming out, and I've heard like rumors on the street that she wanted to sue, but she didn't sue yet.
And by the way, just to be clear, Cassie Ventura was filed one of these initial lawsuits against Diddy. She settled with him the next day for she accused him of sex trafficking and sexual assault.
Correct. So when that happened, when it was kind of a rumor that she wanted to file a lawsuit, I spoke with several people not in his orbit, but in an orbit that's similar to his. And I said, this should be settled. Like these accusations, even if they're not true, they're so grandiose that he's going to lose sponsorships. He's going to lose this. Even if they're completely false, this is something you settle. I don't know what advice he got in terms of settling or not settling, but she ended up filing that lawsuit, and then it was open season on Sean Combs. And that's what I predicted, that it would be open season on Sean Combs. And that's what happened. Everyone under the sun filed lawsuits against Sean Combs. Whether or not they're true or false, that was the key to open the door to the people rushing in to sue him.
On November 23rd, 2023, Diddy will face his third sexual assault lawsuit. That same day, a third lady accused Diddy of sexual assault, according to a lawsuit filed in New York County Supreme Court. In a complaint acquired, Jane Doe claimed that Diddy and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall raped her and a friend in New York City over 30 years ago.
Safes broken into, drawers ripped open, closets ransacked, boxes of gun ammo and Grammy Awards. New images from TMZ show inside Diddy's ransacked Beverly Hills mansion during the coast-to-coast raids where no arrests were made.
People in the home are traditionally detained during raids, so they don't flee and so they don't destroy evidence.
The rapper's attorney calls it a witch hunt with an excessive show of force and hostility that led to a premature rush to judgment, adding Diddy will continue to fight every single day to clear his name.
They don't execute these types of search warrants until they believe they have an ironclad case.
So, where's the 54-year-old now? Unclear, but his jet that traveled to Antigua from LA on Monday just landed in Miami today. That's where Diddy was last seen, reportedly bound for a Caribbean spring vacation with his 2 daughters. Also with him, an associate, Brendan Paul, who was arrested for alleged drug possession. He's been accused in a lawsuit of being a, quote, drug mule for Diddy, but hasn't commented. At least 5 lawsuits have been filed, nearly all by those claiming Diddy drugged and forced them into having sex. Longtime enemy 50 Cent posted that his upcoming docuseries on the allegations is now entitled Diddy Do It.
What we doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year. So I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it.
As the sex trafficking investigation continues, interviews with Diddy's star proteges are going viral, including Usher, who said as a teen, the rapper introduced him to a hypersexual environment he called Puffy Flavor Camp.
You know, hot girls, pretty girls. I'm around grown women, and I'm seeing them do things and have experiences that I'm not quite ready for.
Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Let's just go get some girls. Let's go get some girls.
A man after my heart, that's what I'm talking about, kid.
As I said before, I'm innocent.
Diddy talked to E.T. about his prior trouble with the law, including that infamous 1999 nightclub shooting. At the time, he and then-girlfriend J-Lo were both arrested.
I wish I would have stayed at home.
J-Lo wasn't charged and Diddy was ultimately acquitted, but what can we expect if he's charged and tried in his new federal probe?
Diddy has essentially unlimited funds to defend this case, and I expect him to litigate it very aggressively. Ultimately, I think Diddy is going to be indicted by a grand jury. If Diddy waives his right to a speedy trial, he could potentially push the case out a year or more.
I can't be in this position again. I gotta try my best to do everything not to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Combs is accused of rape. A lawsuit by R&B singer Cassie claims that she was in a years-long relationship with Combs that also involved beatings. The singer claims Combs trapped her in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. The lawsuit claims Combs punched, kicked, and stomped on her, and it alleges Combs blew up a man's car after learning that he was romantically involved with Cassie, whose legal name is Cassandra Ventura. Combs' defense attorney denies the allegation, calling Cassie's suit offensive and outrageous, and he goes on to say Combs has been, quote, subjected to Miss Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their...
These are fake charges that allege misbehavior from over 30 years ago and were filed at the last minute. This is nothing but a cash grab. Because of Mr. Combs' fame and success, he is an easy target for anonymous accusers who lie without conscience or consequences for financial gain, said Combs' representative.
Way, the defense read another way, but during trial, I think the judge started to understand exactly what the case was about, and the ruling started to go a different way when the judge actually understands, hey, there's something going on here.
What did you make of this idea that, you know, we have these witnesses who are coming forward now, we have these photos out? I mean, that's a reason why we need to actually move this case.
I think it's interesting. I don't know how they made that mistake in the first place, that she was taken to New Jersey. She had another friend with her. There were some witnesses anyways, and no one remembered that she was taken to New Jersey. No one remembered that she was in the car. Of course, what they're going to say is that, you know, victims of sexual assault try to put it out of their minds. They don't remember every single detail. They remember the big things, not the little things, or the opposite. You know, when it's they remember the little things and not the big things, that they say, oh, that's what sexual abusers and sexual assault victims do. They kind of cater it to whatever is coming in or not coming in. In this case, she's going to say, oh, you know, I didn't remember that they took me to New Jersey. These new witnesses came out. And because these new witnesses came out, we want to use their testimony. We have to move it to New Jersey or be subject to a motion to dismiss in New York for lack of jurisdiction and venue. That's what they're going to say. I think a judge is going to look at it, you know, not with blinders on. I think a judge will look at this in a totality of the situation. Do I think that it warrants a motion to dismiss or something like that? Probably not. But I think that the basis that this huge fact that it was in New Jersey and not New York was overlooked, I don't think will fall on deaf ears of a court. I think that a court will certainly look at that kind of side-eyed, and I think that will help Sean Combs ultimately with the case. Again, depending on these witnesses and things like that. But like I said, this is what happens in these cases, right?
Yeah.
The door gets open. All of a sudden, witnesses come forward. Someone else comes forward. Someone who's got an axe to grind with Sean Combs. And to be quite honest with you, Sean Combs is a polarizing guy. You know, some people love him in the industry. Some people hate him in the industry. And I think that also, when someone is down, the people that hate you figure out a way to kick you when you're down. Again, not knowing all the facts and circumstances, if this is true or false, just my experience in this area. When the door gets opened, anyone who's never liked you in your life all of a sudden comes forward and has a memory of, hey, I remember this guy on May 17th. He was, you know, doing this or doing that. So that's what I think's happening.
You mentioned, again, there might be another strategic legal reason to move the case. I am curious.
The representative said, the New York legislature did not intend or expect the Adult Survivors Act to be exploited by scammers. The people should be skeptical and not rush to believe these baseless accusations.
Sean Diddy Combs was accused in a lawsuit Thursday of subjecting R&B singer Cassie to a years-long relationship that included beatings and rape. Cassie, whose legal name is Cassandra Ventura, alleged in the suit that Combs brought her into his fast-paced and drug-fueled lifestyle not long after she met him and signed to his label when she was 19 and he was 37 in 2005. Combs' attorney denied the allegations. Ventura said that after years in silence and darkness, she is ready to tell her story.
Aside as chairman at Revolt.
You don't say.
All the lawsuits, yep. Revolt currently is celebrating its 10-year anniversary, doing well, but they're saying that Diddy was never involved in the company's day-to-day.
Shawnee, do you have the dent?
Yes.
Because it would sound like this. Happy anniversary!
And they're saying the goal in making the decision was not to allow accusations he's facing to distract Revolt's mission. I mean...
it is a fact that he's not involved day to day. That is a factory fact.
Was he not involved at all with the fact that Young Miami ended up getting her show on TV?
No, he might have pushed that through. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean he's managing people and managing the business.
Right, you're saying he wasn't like taking people's time cards and filling out a schedule.
Yeah, he's not. You know, like when you walk into Revolt, it's not like, where's Diddy's office? I can't even see him.
I want to know. We need to update the snack machines. Where's
when they have their staff meeting, I don't think Diddy's like at the front, like, hey, you guys are doing really great.
Yeah, right, sure. And that is a real thing for all the people who work there, because like now they got to walk around and be like, I work at Revolt, when really he might not be involved really at all.
Exactly.
But
and also Capital Prep charter schools, they released a statement that they are parting ways.
Really?
Yeah, and then I also saw that like Macy's and all the major retailers that were carrying Sean John were like, we're done with
to which
this.
everybody said, yo, they still carry Sean John?
Well, that was the other piece about the Sean John news. It was like they probably were winding that down anyway.
Listen.
And this just gave them a reason to be like, let's expedite this.
It's been a long time. I was really surprised too, but apparently they were still selling it.
We need to get rid of the Sean John and make way for the new season of Aniche.
Come on, fam.
The network stated in a statement, Sean Combs has stepped down as chairman of Revolt. While Mr. Combs has previously played no operational or day-to-day role in the company, this decision ensures that Revolt remains steadfastly committed to its mission of creating meaningful content for the culture and amplifying the voices of all Black people in this country and the African diaspora. The press release continued, our focus has always been one that reflects our commitment to the collective journey of Revolt. One that is not driven by any individual, but by the shared efforts and values of our entire team on behalf of advancing, elevating, and championing our culture. And that continues. December 6th, 2023. A fourth lady accuses Diddy of sex trafficking and gang rape.
According to the allegations, they are, somewhat removed as it relates to time. Right. But I should say, even though they're somewhat removed as it relates to time, because of the nature of the allegations, whether it be sex trafficking or rape, they are not the same statute of limitations, right? There's no bars on those. Having said that, it appears that at the time of occurrence, she didn't go to prosecutors, she didn't file police reports. Now, that was because she, believes that it wasn't safe for her to do so, according to her. But the allegations, as we know them, again, are not being investigated, as you just reported, by the NYPD. I have no indication as to what's happening in California or Department of Justice. Why do I say that? Federal and the federal drug trafficking, because of the multiple jurisdictions, could implicate federal crimes, as are indicated in the complaint.
Because when you go state to state, then the feds have to get involved, because then it's interstate. You taught me that. I don't know. What are the legal claims that she is alleging against Sean Puffy Combs?
So there are numerous, right? What happens is when you file a complaint, you put what's called causes of action. And the causes of action relate to what we talked about in terms of sex trafficking that is in multiple jurisdictions, as I noted, whether it were Miami, whether it was California, whether it was in New York, right? Taking Ms. Ventura and having her engage in various acts with male prostitutes, according to the complaint. Issues relating to sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual abuse, other types of misconduct. And so there are 8 in total relating to issues in New York and relating to issues in California as well, to buttress what the claims are in the complaint.
Just quickly, the defense in this, he gets to respond to all of this, correct?
Without question.
In court.
Without question, Sarah, great point, right? So these are allegations. Right now, vehement denials indicating that this is a money grab, indicating there was going to be some book that came out, him saying this is blackmail, it's bribery, I did not do this, he's entitled to his day in court. The process moving forward, he'll file an answer to this. There'll be what's called discovery, that is the exchange of information. I'm assuming there'll be a lot of people deposed, meaning asked questions under oath, and then ultimately there'll either be a trial or a settlement, but his side says this is a mere money grab. Do not believe the hype. That's what we're hearing right now.
Joey Jackson, it's always a pleasure.
In early December, a 4th victim accused Diddy of sexual assault. In a lawsuit filed in New York, a woman named Jane Doe accused Diddy, former Bad Boy Entertainment CEO Harve Pierre, and a 3rd person labeled as 3rd assailant of sex trafficking and gang rape when she was 17. According to the document obtained, Jane Doe said that Pierre approached her at a Michigan lounge and convinced her to board a private aircraft with him and 3rd assailant to Combs' recording studio in New York City. When she arrived, she claims she was given drugs and alcohol before being viciously gang raped, according to the lawsuit. December 6, 2023. Diddy responds to sexual assault charges.
And CNN has just learned that the NYPD is not actively investigating Sean Diddy Combs, according to sources. This after the R&B singer Casey Ventura has filed a lawsuit against him. And the allegations she's leveling against him are, frankly, truly shocking. She was his girlfriend. She says in a federal lawsuit that Combs repeatedly physically abused her and raped her when she tried to leave him. She also accuses him of forcing her to have sex with other men and luring her into a drug-fueled lifestyle that led to her struggle with addiction for years. Combs' attorney calls the lawsuit absolutely baseless and vehemently denies the allegations against his client. For more legal perspective on this, criminal defense attorney and CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson is here. These allegations couldn't be more extreme and shocking. And especially when you're talking about someone who is in the public eye, like Sean Combs, with all the names he's come through, P. Diddy, Puffy.
Yes.
He is an icon in the business. But this is civil, not criminal, correct, at this point?
Absolutely, yes. So, Sarah, what happens is explosive allegations, right, within this complaint. And just to be clear, it's a civil lawsuit.
Right.
Civil lawsuit lays out chapter and verse what she is alleging, that is Ms. Ventura, as to his conducts, talking about the abusive nature of it, not only limited to New York, although it's being filed in the Southern District Federal Court, but going on to a trip to Las Vegas, California, Miami, indicating a lot of things. Now, to your point, this is civil, so it relates to damages, monetary damages, right, in the event the lawsuit is proven. That's distinguishable, of course, if it were a criminal prosecution where it would relate to life or liberty interests, right? That's about jail.
That same day, Diddy sent a statement denying the current charges against him. Enough is enough. For the last few weeks, I've sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy, he stated. The mogul said, "Shocking charges have been leveled about me by those searching for a quick buck. Let me be clear. I did not do any heinous acts being accused. I will fight for my name, family, and the truth." That's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching.